It is a Wednesday. Dragging through this week, or at least that's how I feel. Maybe for some of y'all it has been sped up and you feel more like it's Friday. I don't know. But, of course, the rain does that. The rain, the cold. I come in here. Wes Mitchell's wearing shorts and like a light long-sleeve shirt, and he looks at me. I'm dressed like I'm up in Alaska getting set to go on some kind of snow expedition. And we look totally opposite. And he's like, "You cold?" I was like, "I'm always cold, man."
Yeah, for if you never take advantage of watching the live stream, I'd recommend checking it out today just to see the fit Bill's got on, because, yes, it looks like you're ready for the Iditarod.
Yeah, it's like I've got the big puffy jacket. But truth be told, I'm still anemic right now. I was trying to explain it to Wes, like, they come up with these numbers for your blood. You know about this.
Yeah.
Like your blood, whatever it is, your blood is supposed to be between like 13 and 17. And when I went to the hospital, I went into the hospital back in August, mine was at like a 5.5. They're like, "Hey, you don't have any blood. No wonder you're freezing."
Yeah.
And so we've gotten it up. But yeah. Now I don't think it's well documented around here. Not just like in the last 2 months, but in the last about 6 years, my battle with the thermostat here in the room, with my battle in the morning, the temperatures here that we would have in the studio.
Well, I am a pretty cold-natured person, too. Maybe not quite as extreme as you, but I'm going to be the person that complains the least about it being hot in here. So I think we matched up at the right time.
Good. Because I got to admit, and I hate this, I'm not proud of this, but my house is like currently, the thermostat is like running on 77 at the house. The Dominion's like probably in love with me right now. I'm funding somebody's new wing of their house or something. But
this is the time of year where that power bill starts to really tick up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good because the way our apartment is, we don't get a lot of natural sunlight coming in. So even in the summertime, it doesn't get like really hot in there. So I can go some days without even turning on the AC, which is nice. We'll turn it on like when we go to sleep and stuff to keep it from being stuffy. But a lot of the year I can go without running anything and be okay. But yeah, when it gets to being November, December, that's when that power bill starts ticking into the triple digits a lot more.
Yeah. Now, mine actually would normally go the other way, but this year it's the heat is going to be. I actually turned that thing all the way up unbelievably to 80.
Do we know the limit?
We don't. And Austin asked me that the other day. He's like, "What is the limit on our thermostat?" I was like, "We're going to find out. The odds that we're going to find out this year." So, yeah, you can always go. You can indeed go to our live stream, go to YouTube, go to the Game TV radio, and now we're going to try and dress up on Friday. I got to try to actually remember this to get dressed up on Friday.
Now, don't feel like, because I was thinking about this. My wife and I were going to go do a Halloween thing out in Camden on Friday night, and I have a whole get up to put on for that. So I'm probably not going to do that because that's a little much for the entire workday. I'm going to kind of throw a costume together for Friday. So don't feel like you need to go out there and buy something. If you just want to hodgepodge whatever you have laying around, that's fine, because that's probably the route that I'm going to go.
Okay. Now there's as they do, there's a Halloween spirit that popped up in Lexington that I happened to come across last night over by the Food Lion out on 3070.
In the old what used to be there.
I don't know. I think it was a music store.
I think so, yeah.
Something.
Well,
anyway.
they always take over an old Hobby Lobby or something like that.
I think their current headquarters is the old Carolina Panthers facility they were building up in Indian Land or Rock Hill. But anyway.
That's still a sore spot with people?
I think we've forgotten about it.
Okay.
I think we've forgotten about it. I think people around here, Tyler, don't, like me personally, the Panthers are just, there's a history there that you probably don't understand about them wanting to use Williams-Brice Stadium in their inaugural year.
Yeah, because they played at Clemson.
And Mike McGee saying, "No, we're not going to do that." So they played at Clemson. I don't know how things would have been different with the relationship with Columbia, South Carolina, and the Carolina Panthers had they played here. Mm-hmm. If we would have, I don't really know if there's a great relationship around Clemson.
Sure.
With the Panthers have a lot of stuff. They typically have. What is it right now? Is Leggett, Dowdle, J.C. Horn.
Yeah, they got a lot of They had Clowney last year.
Yeah, I mean they've
had a lot of guys.
They typically have at least like 3 Gamecocks about on their team.
See, I've always thought, because they're supposed to be the team of the Carolinas. Like I thought every you would rotate it, but once a year you play at Williams-Brice, you play a game at Clemson. You alternate every single year where for one game, because they'd be the only team that would do it. But that'd be cool. You just play, hey, let's dip down into the other Carolina and play a game a year. I think that'd be neat.
Do you think North Carolina and North Carolina State would want a piece of that? I don't know. I'm asking.
Probably, but again, that you
rotate once
make
every
the
4
argument
years?
that like, hey, we want to play one game in the other state, the other Carolina, every single year, and you alternate between Clemson and Carolina. And doing that, I mean, you make the argument, hey, you already play in North Carolina every single game, home game. Why not throw a bone to the other Carolina? If you're supposed to really represent both states, then why not? I mean, it's not going to happen, but I've always thought that'd be a neat concept.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing games now across seas in Europe. Why not play a game in South Carolina? Not really the same. But
it makes too much sense.
It's not a bad. 803-404-6100. Would people be up for that? That's I've never thought of that. That's a great
represent both states. Both states.
Would you want a regular season game at Carolina Panthers regular season game at Williams-Brice Stadium, like a one regular season game, kind of like and to be let's be dead honest.
Sure.
All that they're supposed to be doing around around the stadium, that's like what this is marketed for, not just hosting Premier League soccer matches in August.
That would be a huge event. What if you did it every other year? One year you get odd years, you get Clemson. Even years you go to Carolina. Like that'd be huge. And I don't care who they'd be playing. If it was a bad Dolphins or Titans team, I'd go to see a Panthers game down the street. That'd be neat.
I think you're right. I think I would actually take Austin to go see that. That would, that's an interesting. Boy, you talk about. I know that's nowhere on our show rundown.
I don't even know how we got to this topic, but it's an idea that I've had for a while.
No, that's Halloween Spirit. We went Halloween Spirit to Rock Hill, or we met
we're linking things together.
I'm dragging you into my kind of radio. That's good.
We got 3 hours. I'm here for it.
I feel good about what we're building here. But I text us in. I'm interested to hear a response on that. Would you go to a Panthers game, a regular season Panthers game? Now, my question would be, I don't know off the top of my head because I don't like Bank of America Stadium. I've been there twice. At least twice. I'm not a fan of it at all.
It's a stadium. That's about what it's a stadium that you play football in. I don't think there's too many bells and whistles to it.
For all the last time I was there was the Mayo, not the Mayo Bowl, the other one, the Virginia. Yeah, and I mean, and we had good.
You didn't go to the North Carolina game 2 years ago?
No.
Okay.
No. No, because the last one. But now and. We all know, if I had to rank like really bad experiences, in the Birmingham Bowl, actually, I laugh more about that because of the experiences that we had.
Yeah.
And some of the people that we met and just how like bad it was that day. Like I almost wear that Birmingham Bowl trip with a badge of honor.
I think there's a collective PTSD for everybody that went on that trip because when you bring it up around people, and I brought it up around you almost see like this 1,000-yard stare of like, oh, the Birmingham Bowl. Let me tell you some stories about that.
It was something, and like that was coming off of a Clemson victory, and that was such a wild. Nothing against the town of Birmingham, but that was such a wild experience. And then you go to the old Gray Lady. What's the actual name of it? Legion Field. And I didn't know I knew that Legion Field was like Hall of Fame-esque status for the SEC. Like,
what's the original SEC championship?
They had played a World Cup game there in the 90s. Like, it was all this stuff, and you're like, man, and that's honestly the worst stadium I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Chain link fence around it with barbed wire, where it was located. Like, and even getting into that game, Tyler, that day, I had to, wherever we were parked, had to walk around the stadium, and then you've got South Carolina fans had traveled in droves because there was excitement. I think there was something like 25,000 South Carolina fans, 30,000. I mean, South Carolina fans had taken over Birmingham, and they had like literally the gates, and it was like like two gates for for the swinging doors open for 30,000 people trying to get in on one side, and it took forever to get in. And then obviously it was number one, it was like 20 degrees. They ran out of pizza. We're playing Connecticut, and Connecticut just stomps a mud hole. It was only 20-7, but it felt like it was 42-7. And again, the area around the stadium, I feel like everybody's got some story about somebody they ran into or dealt with, or it was we parked. I don't know how to explain it, but if I explain it, people might be like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly where you parked." We parked like up the road, not too far from the stadium, and we pull up like on a curb in front of a building. It's free parking, and a guy walks out from across the street and looks at us, and there's a row of cars. There's like 6 or 7 cars. There's us and like 6 or 7 cars. And he goes, why are you parking there? We're like, it's fine, right? Like, it's free. And he's like, oh, yeah. He goes, it's a $40 parking over here. We're like, sir, you do the math. It's 40, it's 20. He goes, yeah, but it's safe parking over here. Like,
the difference of how many feet?
I was like, it was across the street, and it was in his backyard. It was in a gated like a chain link fenced backyard. He's like, it's safe parking over here. And I was like, are you you telling me we're coming back to no car, no tires? What are you trying to? That was an experience unlike anything else. But the Belk Bowl, Belk Bowl, and that was just so bad that after that,
nothing.
Yeah. And I drank my weight in Crown and Sprites that day to get over that. Like, I mean, just Bank of America made bank off of me at the Little I was buying doubles in the second half, just hoping South Carolina would score. So I haven't been back there, but I love that question. Yep. I love that question. 803,
I'm here for it.
Yeah, 803-404-6100. Would you be all for a Carolina Panther regular season game at Williams-Brice Stadium? I can see a scenario where they pitch now definitely for a preseason game
at the very least
in August to get that down here, because if you're going to do all this stuff that you're talking about,
sure,
you're going to want that's a perfect thing to get here. Maybe you find a way to alternate the Falcons and the Panthers.
Tell me a bunch of students wouldn't go to that game? Absolutely.
I think you're right on that. I think people would go. 803-404-6100. All right, we didn't see that. Of all the things we have on our topic list today, let me tell you, I can promise that was not one of them. We will get into South Carolina, Mississippi. Shane Beamer, I know we addressed some yesterday, but he did say some interesting things. I'm kind of hung up on this closing things out comment that he made. I know people are going to say, oh, that's excuse and that's coach speak and he's making up for his team. He's being dead honest, and he's dead right about it. And I kind of want to get into that a little bit more, Tyler, because to me it kind of raises the question, how close is this team? Like, I get it. I see the text. I see y'all texting. Jim, I see you texting. They're 14th in a 16-team league. Some of y'all are even calling them 16. You're somehow putting them behind other teams. You think they're stink and they're god-awful, and Lord knows 3-5 is not what we thought. But it's really kind of got me thinking about how close they've been, and not that you win those games and, okay, you go, well, hey, look, now you're 6-2 and not 3-5, or you're 5-3. That's not kind of my point. What do we really think about this team? Because the general consensus, Tyler, is we're done with them. They stink. So I want to get into that a little bit, because the closing out thing I think is really interesting. Thank you to the World Series last night. Thank you to the Blue Jays.
Nice, timely game.
It was actually moving quickly, too.
It was moving pretty quick.
It was moving quickly. So I am rested, refreshed, loaded up on coffee. I'm ready to go. We're going to get into that. We got a lot of other stuff. Yancey Porter with Rebel Yellow. Join us at I set the time, but is it
12:30?
12:30?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So a lot to do this afternoon. You're listening to Tyler Head, Bill Gunner, Captain David Dare. It is the Halftime Show. 12:20 on a Wednesday. We try to move past the South Carolina-Alabama game. Tyler's going to drag us back in. He puts on the SEC Network, which is currently re-airing.
All right, listen, it was this or watch the Drew Barrymore show again. I don't know. I guess somebody was watching. Maybe Elijah and Justin were watching the World Series on Friday, and it got left on Fox. But Fox, like other networks, just plays like those daytime talk shows, which I don't even know who half these celebrities are anymore.
I think the early game watches like the early morning talk shows. They don't watch sports.
I don't know who Tamron Hall is, but she has a talk show every single day that has celebrities on it. There's somebody named Sherry as well. I don't know who these people are, but they have talk shows.
Yeah, if you want to torture yourself, flip over this afternoon to the SEC Network, or if you're an Alabama fan.
We're grinding tape is what we're doing. We're trying to figure out what went wrong.
I can tell you what.
You want to figure out how to close? We're going to find out in about an hour.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. That's big to me. Let me read some of these texts here. Joey, who now texts in as Patrick, I don't know what that's about, says, Bill, you look like Yukon Cornelius. Are you trying to catch the abominable snowman? Aside from the red beard, yes, that's actually I could be dressed up today. Today could be my outfit.
That's actually a good idea. You could go something wintry for your Halloween costume, considering you're bundled up. So think about something that will require a lot of, like Yukon Cornelius, if you can find a red beard somewhere.
I'm just leaning pumpkin.
Okay.
I've never just done a pumpkin.
It's like an orange shirt.
No, like actually going to Halloween spirit and purchasing, like, they got the, like, kind of looks like it looks like a pumpkin. I'm going to have probably a little, I don't know, fruity hat or something, but I'm kind of leaning pumpkin. It can't cost more than $15.
You could also get one of those big inflatable baby costumes. That'll probably keep you warm. You ever seen those?
The inflatable ones?
Yeah, it's like
I've seen those.
You pump it up and
then you bump other people.
Yeah, it's like a sumo wrestler / baby.
We have limited room in here, and I don't want to also
I think it'll fit. I think you'll be all right.
I don't think I want to go down that path. I will. The two best outfits I ever wore, the two best Halloween outfits I ever got into. One, when I was in college, pre-kids, and you spent time on this. I dressed up as one of the coaches from Dazed and Confused.
Nice.
And that one was and we went to Liberty downtown, and there was a big party there, and I had like the. This is when I had more confidence in myself, like the really short shorts. I had the white coach's shirt with a whistle, and I had like a little pillow under my back then. Of course, I'm back then. Now I'm down to 137 pounds, as I learned this morning. But I dressed that, and that was had the big aviator shades and everything. That one was really good.
Don't think he hasn't noticed.
Huh?
This line from the movie. Don't think I haven't noticed.
Oh, yeah. No, there's another line that I kept using all night that stop chasing the bleep. But anyway.
Well, it's not safe for radio.
Yeah, no, but there was that. And then one of the years with the kids, I went like all in. Like, you do the makeup and everything and
sure.
Dressed up as like Johnny Depp and a pirate when the kids were younger.
Okay, that's good.
And of course, we didn't do like a family theme thing because I think Austin was like a Ninja Turtle and Ansley was some some girl was a star back then. I can't remember her name.
Okay.
Who she had been on concert. I don't even know if she did concert. I think she was a singer. I can't remember.
All right.
But Ansley dressed up as her.
Sure.
And so we weren't even a group.
Yeah.
But
I gotcha.
Those would be the two. And they remember. Several of y'all have texted in, aside from the Yukon Cornelius. Mike weighs in on the bowl game and said, and we lost to Yukon, worst of all. Yeah, that was I don't know if that was the worst part. Billy says cold as heck. Yep. Cody weighs in, and this is on what we were talking about. The Panthers thing really fascinates me with you. You've got something here that I want to dig into later when we get past Carolina football and we start to get a little bit more information on the whatever project we're going to call it down by the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
But doing more things down there to not make it essentially a 7-day event venue. And you're right, hosting a Panthers game. Now, I think most of us would rather see a regular season game.
Sure.
And I'll say this, too. You probably reach out to the Falcons, even though Mercedes-Benz is a palace.
Mm-hmm.
and see if there's some way, shape, or form that they'll play a regular season game here. I mean, it'd actually be pretty cool. They play twice a year. To see, I guess maybe if you could get the Falcons and the Panthers to play kind of like this weekend, we got Georgia, Florida.
Yeah, you have a good opportunity to sell a lot of tickets for that game because you'd have both fan bases close by.
I truthfully doubt the organizations would go for it, but Cody, who's having a very rough year, and trust me, I'm in a group text with him. He's just struggling. He says, "I'm a Giants fan, don't care for the Panthers at all, but I would still go."
See. Yeah, and again, you have a lot of even just like students or people that are locally that probably wouldn't go out of their way to travel an hour and a half to go to Bank of America Stadium. If you put a game in their backyard, heck yeah. Much like when they had the soccer game here last year. A lot of people that probably didn't care about European soccer but wanted to experience something different went to it saying, hey, that was cool. You know, you're not going to go travel for a game like that, but when you put it right in front of your face, why not?
Wayne weighs in and says we have a fan group in Columbia for the Carolina Panthers called the Columbia Riot. But I think the Panthers need to do a better job at building a fan base in South Carolina. I'm in agreement.
You're supposed to be the team of the Carolinas. Right now, you're just the North Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not real sure. Again, I've never had an affiliation. Mine's petty. I have a very petty anger towards the Panthers because when they were coming into existence, we had to travel up there to Salisbury, North Carolina for a Thanksgiving. And so you're passing, we had to, however we got there, whatever, we drove close to Charlotte. And for Christmas, I wanted a Panthers jersey. I like the colors.
Sure,
I didn't know anything about the Panthers. I just wanted the colors. I like the light blue. I like the black. And so, like, I really, you know, as like a 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever I was at the time, I threw a temper tantrum for us to stop and get a Panthers jersey. My mom and dad in the car made for a lovely Thanksgiving, I'm sure, for them. I'm sure they were thrilled with their son. But I threw a pretty solid temper tantrum, too, because you're young and you've been in the car for a while and you're going to see relatives that you don't really know about or anything. And this would have been a cool thing. And I needed a Panthers jersey like that day, that moment. And I didn't get one. And ever since then, I've been like, I hate those guys.
It's all got to start somewhere.
All right, we'll actually get into some football. We'll stop talking about ourselves and we'll move into some actual sports discussion that we have listed to talk about. Yancey Porter with Rebel Yell will join us, and we'll look at this South Carolina Mississippi game coming up next. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Tyler Head, Captain David Dare. It's the halftime show. Hey, it's Bill Gunner from Mid-State Roofing on another dreary, rainy, and cold day. If you experienced a leak, but if you have, I have been telling you what to do. We should already know this, but just in case, maybe you hadn't been listening, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, where for 30 years, they've been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. They know what they're doing, and it's because of their customer service and the way they go about making sure that your operation stays dry and running long into the future. That might be your home. It might be your business. Both are extremely important. It might be here in Columbia. It might be in Aiken or Augusta. It might be in Florence and Greenville. The point is, Mid-State Roofing can roof the entire state. You just got to give them a phone call if you find a leak or if you want to get ahead of the problem and get a maintenance contract. 803-356-1919. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 12:33 on your Wednesday as we roll along. All right, well, I actually talked some football and some actual sports instead of our Halloween costumes and even the Carolina Panthers, because even though the Panthers are 4-4, I don't think we deem that actual football. We don't really pay attention to them around here. Joining us now to talk football too. Long discussion, Yancey. Long discussion. Pent up feelings, and it goes back to me not getting a jersey when I was 7 or 8 years old, and we'll share a drink over that one time, and I'll tell you my feelings. Cry about it.
Yeah, I've been impressed with the Panthers this season from 30,000 feet up in the sky viewpoint with no bone in the fight over it. I've been impressed with the Panthers, but I know we want to talk about this matchup. Yeah, no, and unfortunately, the last thing I saw the Panthers was Sunday, and they were getting blown out by the Bills 40-9. So, yeah. Is this Lane Kiffin's best Mississippi team, or is just the team that's come together and taken advantage of the schedule and things are clicking? This team seems different than the one last year that was loaded with NIL talent and all that stuff. Yeah, I think for Ole Miss, what's missing this year, what was missing last year that they have this year is they've got a much better offensive line and a running back room. So they weren't able to put away some games. They only played in 3 games that were within 14 points all season last year, and they lost all 3. Their 10 wins all came 14 or more, and 8 of those 10 wins came from 27 points or more. So they were either losing very close games at the very end because they weren't able to produce a run game there, or they were blowing everybody out. Is this team as talented this year as last year? No, they're not. But could it be a better overall team, a more well-rounded team? I think it could be.
In some ways, I relate it back to, I think it was the 98 Tennessee team that lost Peyton Manning the year prior, and there was all the expectations, and unknown T. Martin came in, and we know where that went. Is this a national championship team, do you think? I mean, when you look around, not just the SEC, but Ohio State and, Oregon, a few others, is this a team that you think can hold their own in the playoff and get to the national championship game?
Ole Miss's Achilles heel right now is stopping the run, and that doesn't make you feel warm and fuzzy when you think of a national championship team. Have they had some success stopping the run? Yes. Have they gotten absolutely run over sometimes? Yes. So it's a mixture. That front 4 are all guys that are starting for their first year. You've got 3 starters from Ole Miss that were sitting behind the 4 starters from Ole Miss last year that are all in the NFL this year. And then you've got Princewell that came in from Nebraska, but he wasn't a starter last year for Nebraska. He was a freshman, and like the 3 other guys at Ole Miss, they sat behind their starters. So they're getting better. That's going to be the key. Can they win a national championship in the end? In my opinion, is how much do they develop from here until the national championship game.
Let's talk about Trinidad Chambliss. And throughout the entire offseason, when we talked about Ole Miss, the focus, rightfully so, was on Austin Simmons replacing Jackson Dart. And I can't tell you how many times we talked about the touchdown drive that he had against Georgia's litmus test of how good he could be. And he started off the season fine, gets hurt against Kentucky, and Trinidad Chambliss comes in and has not relinquished the job. And look, Chambliss had a lot of success, obviously, in his years as a starter at Ferris State. But when he got signed out of the portal, what was the buzz or thought about what he could be, and how much has he exceeded everybody's expectations in these games that he started for y'all?
Well, the buzz was that he was going to give them depth, a second or a third stringer. They've got another quarterback, Anthony Maddox, that's a freshman. And so the question was who was going to get that 2 spot, right? Nobody would have thunk this. Now, Trinidad did not go through spring practice, so nobody even knew who Trinidad was during spring drills. But there was buzz going around. You got to remember, Lane shuts all access down from the media for the most part. So they weren't able to see what was going on during summer drills, but there was buzz around the IPF that this Trinidad guy is really, really good. But, nobody really thought of it that he was going to overtake Austin Simmons' spot. And then when the season started, Austin he struggled a little bit. He had success as well. He threw 4 picks in 2 games. But the biggest thing with him is that he wasn't a true RPO quarterback. And for it to really unleash the potential in Lane's system, you have to have a quarterback that is willing to run to make that RPO run. It's not that Austin Cape run. He's probably faster than Trinidad if they just got into a straight line speed. But I think Trinidad is more comfortable running the football. Now, will Simmons down the road as he matures, as he gets more playing time, will he become more comfortable running the football? We'll see.
Yancey Porter joining us this afternoon for about another 6 minutes from Rebel Yell Hotline is where you can check him out. You can check him out on Twitter at Fancy Porter. It took me a minute to find that, by the way, Yancey. But Fancy.
That's why I couldn't find him earlier.
Yeah, Fancy Porter.
At Yancey Porter. Yancey Porter. Not Fancy. That's at Yancey Porter. Y-A-N-C-Y.
Oh, well, all right.
I think that's a host Twitter account there.
Okay. Well, I put Fancy. My tweet has Fancy Porter. So, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's probably a state fan. Being in the media since the 90s, anybody in the media that covers Ole Miss or State, that other fan base, doesn't think very highly of them.
Okay.
So you have all these fake accounts that go around everywhere.
Tweet deleted. We'll do better research next time for you. I couldn't find Yancey Porter. I'll go back and find it. We'll put this segment out later.
That's okay.
What? Mississippi's a 13.5-point favorite. I think it's about 13. It might be down to 12. I think it was down to 12.5 yesterday. If you're a Mississippi fan, what concerns you about this game? Because I know how South Carolina fans feel. Obviously, you know how the season's going for the Rebels. They feel great. I think more of the concern is what's going to happen with Lane Kiffin, and we're going to get to that. But going into Saturday night game, I know at least it wasn't sold out early. What concerns Mississippi fans or you about this game?
Yeah, there's been talk about the tickets because Lane said something. So just kind of get that confusion and the ticket situation. Ole Miss has now had 17 games in a row where there's been 2,000 to 3,000 fans over capacity. So that the selling out the stadium has not been a problem for Ole Miss. The SEC policies are when the reason that there's tickets available on the game week is because all tickets that are not sold by the visiting teams are sent back on the Monday before the game is played.
Yeah, our fault.
So no, it's not. I mean, look, you're 4 states over. The season's not going well. That's not indicative of South Carolina. It'd be the same way within any school, right? So we go through this every week because South Carolina's not the only one that sent tickets back. It's been a commonplace. As you notice, the visiting fans all over, including Ole Miss going to different schools, are less and less as the time goes on, right? The 70-inch TVs are putting fans in terrible seats. Hotels are $1,500 a night. It's very expensive, right? So people aren't traveling like they used to back in the 80s and 90s. So that's not indicative of South Carolina at all. But Lane likes to jab. It's something he does, and it kind of irritates some Ole Miss fans when he does that. But really, he's just motivating them, like gobble them up, right? Doesn't matter if they send them back Monday. Get them all right now. So the game will be more than packed. As far as Ole Miss's concerns with South Carolina is you got to start with the quarterback, right? I mean, he really hasn't had that big game this season, and you don't want to be that school where he just goes off. And he can single-handedly, he's that talented, Sellers, where he could beat a team. And so that's your number one worry. The number two is, Dylan over there, that defensive end is really good. He can actually just destruct any offensive tackle goes up. When is he on his game? How motivated is he? You get Dylan, you get Sellers on their game, South Carolina turns into a different animal. And 3, with the coaching situation there at South Carolina, does the team rally behind him? Do they play to a level they haven't played this season? They played really well last week against Alabama. They just shot themselves in the foot, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times, like Mississippi State seems to be doing this year, to lose those games that they should be winning. So I think South Carolina's just kind of forgotten how to win right now. And they've got the talent. They've recruited at a really high level. these last 3 or 4 years. This is a very talented team. They are not playing anywhere near to their talent level right now.
About 60 seconds, real quick. Your thoughts on how Lane Kiffin's handled all the rumors swirling about the other jobs open now?
Well, of course, all Ole Miss fans, and as a fan of any school, they want their coach to come out and say, "I'm not leaving," and shout it from the hilltops. But there's leverage, right? He's trying to get NIL leverage within the fan base. He's trying to get the added money for the staff and other things that you can't just come out and deny any job. His standard policy is, and every year will always be under Lane Kiffin, I'll talk about job opportunities and contract renewals after the season's over, and it won't be any different this year.
We will definitely get you back on in the coming weeks to discuss this. We know he's a hot commodity. And right now, as we sit here, and I get about 30 seconds, what percentage you put on him staying in Oxford, or is that just a little bit too tough at this point?
I think it's pretty solid. He's going to stay in Oxford. He's got Key Carter, Walker Jones that runs the Grove Collective, the NIL Collective, and Glenn Boyce, the president. Everything's in place. Lum just gave him $20 million last week to Keith to make sure he stays and get the NIL where he wants. Another one gave $10 million 2 days ago. A lot of money's coming in right now. It's not the Ole Miss fan base love Lane Kiffin like no other. They're going to do what it takes to keep him.
Yancey, man, I really appreciate it. We will catch up here in the very near future, and safe travels this weekend.
God bless, and everybody have a blessed day. Y'all take care.
We'll come back and address a couple of those things. It's the Halftime Show. It is 12:50. We have rolled right through the first hour. Hey, fun first hour.
No doubt.
No offense, Tyler. My kind of radio. We've talked Halloween costumes. We've put the Panthers down successfully. And we have talked South Carolina, Mississippi. And that, I'll be dead honest, and I told Tyler in the break, there are 3 specific things out of that interview. Thank you to Yancey Porter with Rebel Yell Hotline for joining us. But there are 3 specific things out of that interview that I take away that I really want to discuss. One is the very last comments he made about NIL.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to take a little bit of a left turn, I believe, in hour number 2. I want to readdress that because the numbers he gave out, you go, well, why is Mississippi now Mississippi, and why is South Carolina struggling?
Okay.
Like, why is it a struggle? Those numbers were ridiculous. And if you didn't hear it, I did quick math. He was kind of going through it very quickly, and I want to re-listen again because if I understood, it sounded like in the last 2 weeks, basically maybe the last 3 weeks since Florida opened up, that Lane Kiffin's gotten close to $30 million in just NIL money to now spend this offseason.
Yeah, to encourage him to want to come back, and that backs up what these past couple of cycles been. Again, remember, not this past offseason, the year before, they had the best portal class out of anyone. They had tons of talent.
And their class this year, Brad Crawford, somebody tweeted out the other day, I mean, you're going to get, in the next hour, we're going to look at this game a little bit more. Mm-hmm. You got some numbers on Trinidad Chambliss, which is insane. Number one, they're insane numbers.
Yeah.
But 2, what he was supposed to be is insane.
Sure.
But,
and yeah. He was the steal of the class because they probably didn't have to pay that much for him.
Probably didn't pay a dime. They paid a plane ticket. But no, and so we'll come back. I want to come back to that, and I want you to hear it again if you missed it, because it is a portion of today. It's not a portion. It is today's college football landscape. But as we get ready to play Mississippi, and you go, why are they, besides Lane Kiffin, who has always been a good coach, but he does stuff and he says stuff, and he was so immature early on, and the Raiders stuff, and then Tennessee and Southern Cal, it just, but he's a good football coach.
Sure.
And he's in a great place right now. That really intrigued me, and I want to come back to that with why you see Mississippi maybe doing some things now that, and you go, why are they doing it and we're not? I want to come back to that in hour 2. Also, he talked about what scares South Carolina, or what scares Mississippi. Now, this is what I'm going to get to right now. It felt like he was essentially saying, well, they got 2 dudes, and we shut those guys down, and we feel good. That's what I kind of, hey, their quarterback can have a really good game, and they got a defensive end.
There are 2 guys that.
And then he did brag that said the talent was they recruited well.
Yeah, you have 2 guys, one on either side of the football, that's capable of taking the game over. That is something that every team has to account for. Now, obviously, this year, neither one of those guys has been the wrecking ball that we thought they were going to be. But you always have to be aware that those guys could have a breakout performance at any time. And last week, Sellers looked probably the best all around that he had the entire season. So, okay, is that worth anything? Is that trending in the right direction? We'll see. Stewart always having an effect and all those kind of things. But yeah, for any opposing team, you're always going to have to account for those guys, knowing what they're capable of if they go out there and have their best game.
It just, like, you want to say, you and I, what you'd want him to say is, well, and he mentioned it, Mississippi's run defense is questionable. South Carolina runs the football really well. They got a running quarterback. Well, we know, and they know. They can look at numbers. They have eyes too, and Lane Kiffin has eyes to watch film, and Pete Golding does too, the defensive coordinator. But they're looking at it and they go, no, not only that, they're like, they're going to run up the middle, and so just play up the middle. But that's the thing, and you hear it, and then the third part is you wonder mentally where Lane Kiffin is at, but that's going to bring me to my third part about Lane Kiffin staying, and we're going to get into some coaches in a little while, and we're going to play a little game of this job's open, who fits that job?
Okay.
Because I think LSU, more than ever in this day and age, Brian Kelly's a good coach. Mm-hmm. Brian Kelly is not done coaching, and Brian Kelly is going to go coach somewhere. And he's going to be successful.
Sure.
Now, I'm not saying national championship successful, but he's going to be successful. But the fit at LSU was so bad. Maybe one of the worst we ever had. Ed Orgeron was a great fit.
Yeah, just not as good of a coach.
We'll talk about that. A lot to do. Hour 2 on the way.
It's all right here for our friends over at Pro Swing Columbia. 2 locations, one in Forest Acres and one out in Chapin. If you look outside, the weather is pretty nasty. It's going to be cold for the next handful of months, rain off and off. Maybe it'll snow as well. And when all weather's bad, you can't exactly get out there in the golf course and have a good time. Well, that's where Pro Swing comes in. You can go and play golf year-round in a cool, climate-controlled environment over at Pro Swing. And you can play on any course around the world, too. And, hey, while you're playing on these courses, you can also get ready for the next golf season by working on your swing. They have free 30-minute swing evaluations, and they have discounted practice rates if you're actually taking lessons over at Pro Swing Columbia. And again, they give you pointers on your swing and everything like that to help you make her a better overall golfer. You can give them a call at 803-592-3916. For more info or book online at proswingcolumbia.com.
1 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon where hopefully, if you were like me, everybody got to bed kind of early last night. It was once Shohei Ohtani was pulled out of the game, the Blue Jays got it going.
Yeah, which I think after the night before, it's understandable.
Yeah.
Very rarely, and I think Dave Roberts was asked about this when they interviewed in the dugout, very rarely do you have to worry about your starting pitcher for a game having played the night before in a 6-hour contest, because typically pitchers are coming off of extended rest. So
I don't know. Very rarely is still overdoing it.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. So a rare circumstance there, and he did had a solid outing, all things considered, and then things got away once the bullpen, kind of took over there. He obviously didn't have luck at the plate. For some reason, when he pitches, he can't really hit that well. That's kind of been a consistent thing for him, which I understand. I mean, he's going out there doing something nobody else is doing. I'm not knocking him for that.
Well, I don't know. Look, none of us know. None of us. It's one thing to say, well, I did it in Pony League or Little League or even in high school. And obviously going to college and maybe doing something, and I don't even know how many. Somebody can, I'm sure, point to some players, how many guys in college are pitching and hitting in the same game. I just off the very quick top of my head, I can't think of anybody. But obviously, we all know people in high school and then Little League that are doing it. But I can't imagine, the amount of prep work. I mean, they were talking about it last night for Shohei, how you prep for the batting lineup going to pitch.
Yeah.
And they were kind of breaking down how everybody does, how most pitchers go through their routine, a 4 or 5 day routine of rest, throw, study. Your game's coming up in 3 days or 2 days, study, spend the game before with the clipboard, watching, you're relaxed, you're rested. Basically, you're the first to leave. You're basically the first out of the clubhouse that afternoon or that night to go get a great night of sleep, to be back as one of the first to get, and how Shohei does it. Look, there's two people in sports. I agree with this now. There's two people in sports. Victor Wembanyama and Shohei Ohtani. And that's it. There's nobody else I want to see.
They are
the marquee headliners. If they're on TV, I'm watching. Shohei baseball still does just a god-awful job during the regular season of showcasing. They're getting better.
Sure.
But also we're talking about starting from almost like ground zero. But if Shohei Ohtani is definitely pitching or the Dodgers are on, I'm in. And if Wemby is playing and it's TNT or NBC or whatever, he's too much of a freak not to watch right now.
There's a lot of freak athletes out there across all professional sports, but those two are on the freakiest of freaks list, and it's 1A and 1B. Because, again, two different sports, two different things that you're talking about there. But, yeah, those guys are rare breeds, extremely special talents that hopefully, barring injury, are going to be watching for a very long time to come.
Yeah, again, to me, there's nobody else. There's those two dudes. I'll pay for a ticket. I'll pay what you want. I'll go. I would to go watch, especially Wembanyama, because of, he plays like basketball. He's on the court. You hope he's on the court. You hope he doesn't decide all of a sudden load management is his thing. But those two dudes are the marquee guys. Those are the guys in sports. And having watched now Wemby, and by the way, the other night against the Raptors, the game that Colin Murray Boyles, I was watching the highlights last night, because Monday night was the game with the Raptors and the Spurs where Murray Boyles had 19 and hit 3 3-pointers. Poor Colin Murray Boyles got matched up on him a couple times.
Yeah, welcome to the league, rookie.
Didn't go well. You're talking.
But what do you say at that point? It's like, it's Wemby.
Well, it's a foot difference almost.
Yeah,
literally, if you go by what Murray Boyles, I think, was listed at 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah.
It's literally a foot difference.
That's the funny thing about watching Wemby play, is just like his proportions are so, he looks like he's thin as a rail.
Right.
I mean, God, what does he weigh? 230, 240, something like that? Because you're distributing the weight across a lot more body than most people. Again, he's insane. It's crazy.
But once they came out, and so thankfully, and again, that game last night was chugging along at a pretty good pace, and that was nice to see. And then all of a sudden the Blue Jays blow it open, and at that point I was allowed to flip away to something. And last night also was Frozen Frenzy in hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Frozen Frenzy. So you had all teams, you had everybody playing. And I'll be honest, NHL, what they did was really cool. That was really, really actually a neat little thing to do. Hey, FYI, if you're going to do that, make more games accessible. Don't just have a triple header on ESPN. Be like, tonight we're going to need all of our platforms. I think what they use, TNT2, they do another one.
Yeah.
Be like, we need all of our platforms rolling with games tonight.
I was going to say, unfortunately, a lot of hockey is behind paywalls when it comes to ESPN Plus.
And I have that, and so I can watch. I did learn the hard way the other night. I don't know why I was surprised. The Hurricanes, they were playing the Blackhawks, I believe. The Hurricanes are blacked out. I'm like, wanted to say particular words that I'm not allowed to say now.
Blackouts I hate blackouts.
Yeah. But yeah, they had the Frozen Frenzy. You had college football last night, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Is it second? What do we want to go with here? Your secondary team?
My spirit team.
Spirit team.
The Owls of Kennesaw State.
They win.
They did. Hooty-hoo.
33-20 over UTEP. And how long have they been in existence?
Oh, God. They've
been. Is it existence or FBS?
In existence for about a decade. Funny enough, one of my high school teammates played linebacker for them, and I want to say maybe he got their first ever turnover. Yeah, I think he had like a pick six in one of their first ever games. I think he has like the first ever turnover in program history, and I want to say it was 2014 or 15.
Okay.
I think it was 15 because we graduated in 14, so we went there, but they weren't playing yet, so everybody on the team redshirted that year, and then 2015, I believe, was their first season, if I'm remembering correctly. But they were FCS for a couple years, and then made a transition up to FBS, and now we're at the highest level.
They're 6-2 on the season, and their two losses, they lost by a point to Wake Forest to open the season, and then got bludgeoned like 56-9 by Indiana. But they've won 6 straight. And just look, you get these midweek teams, and we all develop sometimes a little bit of an affinity for these midweek teams because, again, on a Tuesday night, maybe you've got a hankering for college football, and you're not going to get Auburn and Texas matching up, so you start to associate with Texas State or Kennesaw State or UTEP.
Yeah. I did watch a little bit of Texas State and James Madison as well.
Bob Chesney is a name later on to keep an eye when we do our coaches and schools kind of piece. Bob Chesney, keep an eye on that name. James Madison blows out Texas State last night, 52-20 in that ball game. But Kennesaw State, I guess, is becoming maybe if you've paid attention. Again, Donovan Westmoreland is there, former Gamecock, former 4-star linebacker / edge, is actually at Kennesaw State. So I guess you say there's a small Gamecock connection if you were to ever catch it. Now next week we make the change. That's right, folks. It's Maction time. Next Tuesday night, UMass and Akron, Miami, Ohio. Ohio. We all know that's that huge rivalry. Kent State, Ball State on Wednesday night. Northern Illinois, Toledo. So get amped up. Get fired up.
So I just looked this up. In their third game ever, my teammate blocked a would-be winning field goal attempt and returned it for a touchdown against Shorter.
Excellent work.
That's his claim to fame. That was going to bug me if I didn't look that up.
All right. And again, these teams, they start to take over the Tuesday night, Wednesday night section of the college football. So again, maybe you need some college football in your life. There is baseball tonight. I kind of feel bad for them at this point. Like, you play 18 innings. You got to come back and play 9 last night. Now you're playing again. I do like the fact that Major League Baseball is like, look, we're not giving you 16 days off.
Basketball could learn.
Yeah.
Game after game after game. We don't need 3 days off between games. Let's get this rolling. Playoffs don't need to take 2 months.
Hockey might actually do it the best, but baseball. So they got Game 5 is tonight in L.A. But if you want to get into college football tonight, Jacksonville State takes on Middle Tennessee tonight. And again, there's 2 teams that have been playing these midweek games. It was maybe a little bit easier to get into Jacksonville State when they had old Rich Rod. That was easier to like or dislike. Middle Tennessee, don't think we have a connection there. So
Elijah Campbell. He went to Middle Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Fighting Elijah Campbells.
Okay.
Derek Mason's their head coach.
Derek Mason, yeah, is the
It's not going well.
No. Surprises me a little bit.
Yeah.
I learned this we discussed this on air a couple weeks ago. He was like, he's 4-15 now.
Yeah, it's not good. And again, when you have somebody that obviously coached in the SEC that has connections to the state of Tennessee, it seems like a natural progression where I didn't expect him to go there and suddenly take the team to the playoff, but you would expect them to be at least like
8 wins.
Yeah, 8-ish win team, and it's just not happening.
Also tonight, again, if you either love college football or you're punishing yourself for something you did, Florida International is at Missouri State at 8 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. And for you true degenerates, and congratulations on this, Missouri State -3.5 over-under set at 50.
See, I'm trying to learn more about Missouri State because they're the newest. Them and Delaware are the newest teams at FBS. So it's still a process of learning about the Grizzlies, or not the Grizzlies, the Bears, Missouri State Bears, I think, learning more about them.
Okay, there's the difference between Tyler Head. Now, he is a true professional. He works very hard at his job. He is trying to learn about Missouri State and Delaware. I am far more worried about many other things.
I'm a sicko. What can I say?
Yeah. You got the EA Sports, what is it, EA Sports 26, whatever Austin's got, whatever I bought my son?
So I have my Dynasty going in 25 still.
Okay.
I think I've decided I'm going to buy the game every other year.
Okay.
Because I put so much time into one Dynasty, I don't want to have to restart every year. So I'll probably buy 27. I'm still playing 25.
Okay.
I just lost the semifinal to Clemson in my Dynasty,
now,
year
who are
5.
You?
I'm Georgia.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know if you went with if Austin's doing a thing.
I do play with Carolina a lot because they're a fun team to play with.
Well, no, I think Austin's doing a thing with Charlotte right now. He's taking Charlotte.
I started one with App State to try and build up. It was taking too long, so I just switched it up a little bit. Maybe the next game I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. But yeah, I've lost to Clemson in the postseason the past 2 years, so trying to get over that hump a little bit. By the way, Chris Vezina in the game is way better than Chris Vezina in real life.
Well, Nick Harbor last year
was
that's
true.
Kind of, a little bit different player. But I actually, when I was in the hospital, I stole Austin's PS5 and hooked it up, so I had something to do. And I might have started a dynasty with Coastal.
Okay.
And I hadn't picked it up since I got out of the hospital. But,
gotcha.
Anyway, 803-404-6100. We interviewed Yancey Porter in the previous hour with Rebel Yell, and there was a lot of interesting stuff that came out of there. But one of the things that came out pertained to NIL. And I say this, you wonder, I know there's probably a lot of people that go look at Mississippi. And again, Lane Kiffin is Lane Kiffin, and I don't know where we put Lane Kiffin in the top 10 coaches, top 5 coaches, top 25. I don't know where you put Lane Kiffin, and maybe that's part of the question we got to ask.
He's somewhere in the top 10.
Okay. Where do you put Lane Kiffin? Right now, clearly, because of LSU, Florida, and whomever else. Texas, by the way, a report came out. We might want to mention that one about Steve Sarkisian's agent reaching out to somebody. He is priority number 1.
Yeah.
So some people might even say he's a top 3 coach in the country right now. I don't know if you want to go with that.
I don't know if I go that far, but
you see my point. But aside from Lane Kiffin, why has Mississippi become Mississippi? And NIL has something to do with it. And Yancey Porter ran off some numbers, some things that have literally happened, I don't know, it sounded like within the last 2 weeks. I'm going to replay that clip for you, and we're going to discuss that because you talk about a difference between Mississippi and South Carolina, 2 programs that are essentially the same, but in different tiers of the SEC at the moment. We'll let you listen to that and debate that a little bit. You're listening to Tyler Head, Bill Gunner, Captain David Dare. It's the Halftime Show. 1:20 on a Wednesday. Tyler Head, Captain David Dare, Bill Gunner, as we roll along here. Joe D. Camillus, Clayton White, Mike Shula speaking over at the athletics facility. We'll see if we see anything there's interesting coming out of their mouths today. I did see Mike Shula say that we didn't really change anything. There was collaboration from everybody, same as usual.
It's really funny because I feel like Beamer says one thing and Shula says something different when we hear from them during the week, where, again, Beamer's been very upfront. Like, yeah, we did change some things offensively in terms of, like, taking things out of the playbook.
Well, just let me according to, this is from Alex Jones of the Big Spur, this was on if there was more collaboration last week, and Mike Shula said it's been the same all year. Said they have been consistent all year with what they do with the game plan.
But that doesn't sound like what Beamer said the other day, where it sounds like there was more of like, hey, something needs to change here. Let's cut out a handful of these plays and focus on, I don't know. That's what it sounds like to me.
I don't know. Anyway, we'll kind of glance through that and see if anything came out of that is. I'm skimming very quickly to see if there's anything really more on important stuff, but I don't see anything right off the bat. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this afternoon on the text line or give us a phone call. So I think, the question, a lot of people, I see it on message boards, I see it on Twitter, especially going into this week. Mississippi's not some powerhouse football historic program. They have traditions and they have neat little things, and they've risen up from time to time. South Carolina beat them when they were number 4 here, and Houston Nutt was the head coach, and Javon, I think it was Jevon Sneed, I can't remember. Jevon Sneed was the quarterback, and they had a running back too, 22.
Dexter McCluster.
Yep. And a pretty good game. Eric Nordwood was phenomenal that night, and Sandstorm was born, and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, the programs are, there's really, and it's kind of like Missouri, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like Missouri. How are they, and how are we? And how has that been the same?
Since the year 2000, Ole Miss only has 2 more 10-win seasons than South Carolina.
Okay.
They've had 5. Carolina's had 3.
Okay.
You look at the bowl games they're going to, yeah, and again, in recent years, they've gone to Peach Bowl, Sugar Bowls, stuff like that, but Music City Bowl, Compass Bowl, Peach Bowl, Cotton Bowl, they are not, just speaking in the last 25 years, not really that much different than what South Carolina is. Overall as a program, Carolina's been to an SEC championship game. They haven't done that. They've had some pretty bad seasons mixed in with some pretty good ones. Like, these 2 programs that I think kind of look across the aisle at each other most of the time and say, okay, we're on kind of the same wavelength here in terms of what we've done and where the expectations are for us more often than not.
Yeah, to kind of go back here, you look at what they're becoming or what they've become, and now they got a fight on their hands to hold on to Lane Kiffin. We interviewed Yancey Porter of Rebel Yell Hotline in hour number 1. And I found this because this is NIL related. Now, they're going to fight to keep Lane Kiffin.
Yes.
Okay, but we also know previously Mississippi has become one of the top NIL schools in the country. They're up there with Texas, and they're up there with Ohio State. And there's even some reports I've seen where they're ahead of a school like such as Georgia or Alabama when it comes to fundraising NIL money and all these things. Listen to Yancey Porter here, because this is within what it sounds like. And again, I was listening to it in real time, and it's the first time I'm going to be able to go back and hear it as well. But listen to him talk about why he thinks Lane Kiffin doesn't go anywhere. Okay, he doesn't think Lane Kiffin's going to leave for LSU or for Florida. But he also talks a little bit about what Lane Kiffin just received in NIL money for the upcoming future. Here's Yancey Porter about an hour ago.
Well, of course, all Ole Miss fans, and as a fan of any school, they want their coach to come out and say, I'm not leaving, and shout it from the hilltops. But there's leverage, right? He's trying to get NIL leverage within the fan base. He's trying to get the added money for the staff and other things that you can't just come out and deny any job. His standard policy is, and every year will always be under Lane Kiffin, I'll talk about job opportunities and contract renewals after the season's over, and it won't be any different this year. I think it's pretty solid. He's going to stay in Oxford. He's got Key Carter, Walker Jones that runs the Grow Collective, the NIL Collective, and Glenn Boyce, the president. Everything's in place. Lum just gave him $20 million last week to Keith to make sure he stays and get the NIL where he wants. Another one gave $10 million 2 days ago. A lot of money's coming in right now. It's not the Ole Miss fan base love Lane Kiffin like no other. They're going to do what it takes to keep him.
You're right. About $30 million in the past handful of days, I'm assuming for next offseason, to say, hey, stay with us. Here's what you can spend in the portal next year and high school recruiting and all that kind of stuff to build your super roster for 26 and beyond.
Yeah, and that's in what, again, as you heard him say, we'll round out 10 days. That doesn't count them finishing out the year strong and other people being like, hey, here's, $25 doesn't really cut it. Yeah. You get the point. But, who knows what that number is. And are the Ole Miss boosters either A, that much more invested than South Carolina, or are they B, do you have the higher up boosters? Let's face it. Not all of us can just start whipping out, $3 million and be like, hey, Shane, here you go. But how do you get to that? How does Mississippi have that number? And is it just as simple as they are they and we are we and we don't have it? I don't. That's insane to me for Mississippi. If it's Georgia, and I say Georgia, I don't.
Sure. Georgia's not at the tippy top of NIL from what I understand.
You never really hear Georgia.
Yeah, they do fine, but they're not the Ohio State or Texas or something like that. But they make do with what they have and make it work really well. But yeah, and I don't know. Again, you're talking about two people there that basically make up that $30 million, according to Yancey Porter. So who those people are and what their ability to write those kind of checks is obviously has a heavy influence on what Ole Miss is able to go out there and do. And sometimes it is just as lucky as having a couple of extremely rich and frugal donors to write you those kind of checks that maybe you don't have somewhere here like here. Again, we don't know the people that contribute the high dollar amounts. We can have an idea of who they might be, but we don't know for sure. And some places are blessed to have those people and others aren't, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't know the I'm not trying to look. Everybody's financial situation is their own, and I get it. Look, I have 2 kids, like y'all. I have a mortgage. Money goes to where money needs to go. But you see, like Mississippi, even prior to that, like coming up with ridiculous amounts. Now, is like you said, is it 2 people? Do we at South Carolina lack 2 people? Do we lack 3? I don't know. But the point is that's $30 million. I think LSU, I'm pretty sure Florida and LSU can come up with that.
Yeah.
But it ain't going to be easy. I mean, it's not something where Florida and LSU can just go, oh, okay, yeah.
And let's keep in mind that that's on top of revenue sharing, right? So with revenue sharing, about $13 million, $14 million go towards football. So you had $30 million. That's $44 million that you can spend on your roster. That Mississippi can for just 1 year with revenue sharing and NIL. Like, again, that's got to be rivaling some of the best programs in the country in terms of what they're going to be able to spend next year if those numbers that he said are true.
I don't have I don't know if it's just they have it and we don't. I don't know if it's just they have 2, 3. I mean, look at Texas Tech. They got, what is this guy's name? Cody Campbell, I believe is his name.
Yeah, the oil tycoon.
Yeah, like, is it? But I mean, shoot, even, I mean, Texas A&M, we know their NIL situation and what they can do, but and South Carolina, I understand South Carolina not competing with Texas.
Yeah.
And A&M and even even Texas and even in SMU.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do that.
All the oil schools.
Right. I get it.
Ole Miss isn't an oil school.
I get it. And I think I can get Ohio. I'll be dead honest. I'm not going to sit here and lie to y'all and say, oh, yeah, I know academics at Ohio State, and if they're producing brainiacs better than the University of South Carolina who are making millions upon millions of dollars, I really have, nor do I care to even learn. But the bottom line on that is, like, is that an investment by 2 dudes or an investment by a fan base? We'll continue to talk about that, and we'll get into Tyler's got some numbers on Trinidad Chambliss that really stand out. And I see you on the phone line, Elliot. We'll get to you as well. You're listening to the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder. He is the mortgage guru in this market. And you know what? If you've been listening, you know that he's not only been the mortgage guru lately, he has been the mortgage guru for almost 20 years. That's right, servicing the Midlands, families just like yours and mine, making sure we get the best interest rates, that if we're looking to refinance, if we're looking to build or buy, that we can get the best options available to us. And there's more than you know. You just have to make the phone call. 803-719-1005. Trust me, you don't know what's out there until you call Jacob Crowder and say, hey, what am I eligible for? What does my credit allow me to do? How much money do I have to spend? You have to make that phone call today. So, again, whether you're looking to buy or build, maybe, something else, call Jacob Crowder today. 803-719-1005. on a Wednesday. Try and be safe out there. I understand there's some like viruses going around, and people are getting a little weather's changing, obviously, and obviously rain and cold. I believe it's supposed to clear up tomorrow and going to be nice. The amateur meteorologist that I am, I believe I've seen where it's supposed to be nice, and the weekend's going to be extremely nice. But trying to keep your hands washed, sanitized, all those good things, because I know it's kind of apparently going around. Had to pick up my son from school prior to coming here because I think he wasn't feeling particularly well. So anyway, just checked with him in a text message. Apparently he feels a lot better now. I guess being at home playing video games kind of works. 803-404-6100. That medicine actually helped me a lot, too, now that I think about it, when I was little and I would get out of school. It went a long way. Let's get to the phone lines. Elliot, I apologize. I went down a path there. You wanted to weigh in on NIL. How you doing today, and thank you for the call.
Yeah, I'm doing great. No problem at all. I understand you guys have a busy show. I listen in all the time, and I appreciate you taking my call today.
What you got for us?
Yes, sir. So just getting onto the NIL deals that you were speaking, especially on the terms of like Ole Miss and the Lane Kiffin situation that they have going on over there. You kind of referenced that they have I think it was roughly $30 million and 10 days awarded to their program towards just the athletic department and everything. And you were wondering or saying just like how we haven't really done the same, like wondering if Ole Miss just has more money than we do. And I think there's kind of like multiple layers to that. I think that, with Lane being sought out after as a hot candidate for multiple different job entries, that the fan base is just trying to raise the money up quickly to keep him around, kind of giving him, like you said, that leverage. But I also think it has a little bit to go into just consistency, with Ole Miss constantly being a top 25 team, the coaching staying consistent and everything. I think that's just kind of something that South Carolina really hasn't seen. And so some of the bigger providers may kind of be a little weary to, put those funds into it when, 1 year we're going 9-3 and we're sandwiching that between a 5-7 season and where we're currently at 3-5. So just kind of curious if those were things that you had taken into consideration, and would kind of love to hear your thoughts on that process. And I'll get off the phone and let you get back to the show. I appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah, probably. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a interesting point that he brings up there, because we're still early into the NIL era. It's only been a thing since 2021, and really only in the past 3 to 4 years, or 2 to 3 years really, is when people have kind of figured out how to use collectives and stuff like that to essentially pay players to play for them. But he brings up a good point, because let's look at the past 4 years for Ole Miss football. 2021, they go 10-3. 2022, a little bit of a dip at 8-5. 23, 11-2. Last year, 10-3, and right now they're trending towards being possibly a college football playoff team. So in this NIL era, they have been a lot more consistent than South Carolina. And like you said, you have 1 year that's good, 1 year that's bad, 1 year that's good, and we're trending towards another bad year this year. So I do think he brings up a good point about the hesitancy of like, okay, I may give a lot of money to this, but I don't know if I'm going to get the results out of it that I want, because it's been a lot more of a bumpy ride compared to what Ole Miss is doing right now.
Let's be clear about this. By all accounts, I don't know where people come up with these numbers, but by all accounts, South Carolina is a top 20 NIL program giving school in the country. Okay,
from what we can gather, yes.
Fake numbers, I don't know. Whatever. But by all accounts, South Carolina is a top 20 school. So South Carolina's not poor by any stretch of the imagination, okay?
Right.
And if this was a conversation, if we were on the phone with someone from Orange Bloods or a Texas thing and talking about Steve Sarkisian, this isn't a conversation because you just go, I got it, oil money, Texas, all that, okay, we can't match that. Mississippi's different. And that's why I bring this up. Because, again, South Carolina's not poor here. South Carolina's not operating in the lower half of the SEC. And certainly not operating, to my knowledge, below Vanderbilt. And we see what Vanderbilt's doing.
Right.
Okay? All right. So let's be clear. But, and I thank you for the phone call, Elliot, I hope that's not the philosophy. you got to have, and I don't know if they've ever, I don't know, personally, and I'm sorry if I'm about to offend a lot of people, and this is my opinion. This is not the opinion of anyone here at Cumulus or 107.5 or anywhere. This is Bill Gunner's opinion. Now, let me be very clear about that. Okay? What I'm about to say, I'm very clear. My opinion. South Carolina fans don't have the stomach to play big-time college football. They don't. And that goes back to, and I'm serious about this, cheating. It was rampant. It was rampant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all know Herschel Walker stories. We all know stories.
Reggie Bush.
You've heard, know the story. Well, I'm talking about it in high school. I mean, like the Marcus Dupree story.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking, you go, Eric Dickerson,
Eric
SMU.
Dickerson got his Trans Am when he was a senior in high school
from Texas A&M, and they lost. They didn't. Sure. Texas A&M didn't win it, and he got a free Trans Am, and you know what happened?
Yeah.
You don't get it back.
Yeah.
You don't get it back. I know specifically a basketball recruit that came to South Carolina, specifically a basketball recruit that came to South Carolina in the last 10 years, 12 years, I guess, in the last 15 years. I'll just round out. Can't remember when. And could have gone to another school in the ACC, and the other school offered him $50,000. I know this because it came directly from the uncle. And the uncle told me, I said, why didn't, and South Carolina didn't offer that. And this was during the cheating. Again, this was money under the table, packages, so forth and so on. And South Carolina didn't offer that. And the uncles, and I said, well, the family needs money. Why didn't y'all take that? I just was curious. I knew the uncle. I knew the player really, really well. And he said, what happens if we play bad? Do we have to give it back? I was like, no.
No, I've never heard that story.
Thankfully, player had put pen to paper and was signed and became an integral part of the team and has gone on to be one of the better players to ever come through here. But point being is, I want to be very clear on this because I do have this, like, you get into these battles and you lose and you can't go, well, I can't do that again.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to give money to NIL or whatever, and again, this is you get on a whole different theme of financials and people with kids and stuff you got to pay and the kind of we're not doing that. I'm not doing that, but because that's your own private business. But my point is, even back in the day of actual cheating, like the legit under the table, we got to pay this guy, we got to come up with the money. Well, you come up with the money and the guy gets the money and then he chooses the other university.
Yeah.
You can't say, man, I can't do that again. We got to ante up and do it again the next year. You lose out on a particular player. I know of a particular running back that South Carolina lost out on that kind of got compensated pretty well. And he didn't come to South Carolina. Yep. And it was a good running back. He's in the NFL now. I mean, these are the kind of things that, Tyler, and that's why I say that, unfortunately, you have to have, it's kind of like playing high-stakes poker.
You got to be able to.
And high-stakes poker.
You have to put all your chips in at some point, is what you're saying.
Let me be dead honest. I don't go into the high rollers room in Cherokee. So, count me in. Count me in. All right? But
to get a better, higher net result, you sometimes have to risk more, is what you're saying.
You did.
Yeah.
And now in the NIL period, it can't be, well, we're up and down. I mean, you jump in. You hold your nose, and you jump in all the way past your head, and you're in. And when South Carolina's ready to play that game, they will be competitive. Mississippi, maybe it's because maybe 10 wins. It's a jump. It's a leap. And boy, is it a commitment. 803-404-6100. I hope I didn't offend anybody. I apologize if I offended you. You can hit us up and yell at me. Twitter, text line, whatever. I'm okay. I'm a big boy. I handle it. You're listening to Tyler Head, Bill Gunner, Captain David Dare. It's the Halftime Show. Beth weighs in. Good to hear from Beth. Mitch Tyner punted for Clemson in the late 60s and early 70s. He and his dad got new Lincoln Continentals. They live down the road from me.
It's so funny now that all this stuff is above the table.
It is.
With NIL that we're a lot more comfortable with talking about the stories of who got what and all this kind of stuff. We laugh about, the McDonald's bags at Tennessee and all those kind of things, but that's how the game was played. I mean, if you wanted to compete, and look, everybody could plug their ears and pretend like their respective teams weren't doing it, but anybody worth their weight in playing competitive football was doing something nefarious to get talent, because that's just, again, it's how you had to play the game, whether you wanted to or not. The most honest and integral coaches around college football. Mark Richt was a good, wholesome guy, but
the head coach doesn't have to.
Yeah, the head coach doesn't have to do it himself, but there was plenty of guys that went to Georgia that I'm sure got some kind of thing under the table, money, cars, whatever it may be.
Herschel Walker came down to Clemson in Georgia.
Yeah.
And we're going back into the 80s because, like you said, that was the wild, wild west. And I think a lot of us have all seen the SMU 30 for 30, and, it's one thing when you get them. To me, it's actually even more one thing when you get them on campus. You get them on campus and you got the $100 handshakes and you're taking care of that to me is entirely different than when you were, and things still are the same, when you're recruiting a kid. You're right. Now it's all above board. And, Shane Beamer's talked about it. He doesn't have many and I'm not knocking Shane. This is not a knock on Shane. But Shane said if the first question is about NIL, they don't continue the conversation. They'll talk. We'll talk. You want to know? Well, Shane will, that's part of it. I don't know if they're supposed to anymore. Remember, they were for a while there, like the conversation couldn't be.
Sure.
But yeah, they'll talk. But Shane's got a point. If you come in and the very first thing you say, hey, what are you going to pay me? And I agree with Shane Beamer on this. Within reason. Within reason. Look, Zion Lee was, I think it's Zion Lee. I think that's his name. The number 2 player in the country, committed to Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the kid, he took a secret, unofficial visit here, and then it got found out in about the first quarter. He was here this weekend. And I've seen Hale McGranahan put on thebigspur.com part of what happens for him is a business decision.
Sure. And again,
and that's today's world.
Yeah,
that is today's world.
In today's world, you have the ability as a player to make decisions based on that. And there's nothing illegal about it. That's just the way college sports are now, that if you can go to quite literally the highest bidder.
Right.
That's just what it is.
But it's open now. It's open now. Back then, this makes it is fun. Like you've all heard stories. Clyde Wren is the best. I know in private, Clyde Wren will tell these phenomenal stories about these Wild West stories, and they're phenomenal. And Ellis Johnson is the same, and they're absolutely phenomenal stories about wild stuff that occurred to land elite players, in like the 70s, really the 70s and the 80s.
Well, it used to be if, somebody, your buddy or something that was a fan of a rival team was bragging about how good their team was. Yeah, well, it's because you pay players, or it's because you bought your talent. That used to be an insult. That used to be a way of taking a shot saying, hey, what you're doing is unorganic. Now it's like, well, duh, everybody's doing it. If you're not able to catch up, that's your fault. Like, again, got to play the game the way that it's played.
Well, but again, as I was saying, you have to have the stomach to lose and do it again.
Yeah.
And not everybody has the stomach for that. Not everybody has the funds for that. What? You think Ohio State, it paid off for Ohio State last year, right?
Yeah.
It paid off. It didn't pay off the 2 previous years. It ain't like Ohio State just last year I think last year they got a little out of control, but Ohio State, previously was spending upwards of $15 million.
And that goes back to why when they lost that game to Michigan, we thought Ryan Day's job was in jeopardy, because you have this expensive roster. You can't beat your rival. And if they got bounced in the first round of the playoff against Tennessee, I don't know what was going to happen. But with that much investment comes expectations. They were able to live up to it. But for a moment there, it's like, ooh, wait a minute. This ain't going right.
Well, and that's fair. And, I say the coaches, look, the coaches know. I mean, the coaches know. They know now more so than ever. They know what they got in NIL money. I mean, you know, maybe again in the 80s and the 90s and the 70s, a coach might look at a booster and be like, hey, I need that dude, and we need him, and whatever you got to do, you do it.
Sure.
And then you don't tell me anything about it. Like, I don't need to know whatever you just did to get that guy. Remember that dumb article came? I remember there was an old website. This is years ago, and it was like the story of the bag man.
Yeah, that SB Nation did it.
I was like, that's the most generic story ever with anonymous sources.
Maybe we're thinking of a different one because the one I watched the video series on it. It was well done.
Yeah. All right, hour 3 on the way. We're going to play a game of open jobs and talk a little Carolina, Mississippi. You're listening to the Halftime Show. It is 2 o'clock on a Wednesday. Hopefully you're doing okay. Rolling through about halfway portion of the week. Get through really, yes, I know I'm different. I've gotten it. If you've listened for 9 years, you know that I'm different. I'm not the same as y'all, Kendrick Lamar. But anyway, I get through this show, get to another hour, and basically I start my weekend because I love Thursdays. I'm a huge fan of Thursdays. But tonight, look, little Major League Baseball, Game 5. And Tyler and I mentioned it. Give credit, and their ratings are up. Well, games 1 and 2, by the way, for anybody going, baseball, they've gotten exceptionally good ratings through games 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. I don't think game 3 is out yet. I think that's why, at least looking at awfulannouncing.com, they didn't have the ratings for it. But the ratings have been pretty good. I think ratings, by and large, for all of baseball playoffs have been up year over year.
Yeah. I think most of the early rounds, I think, were up from what I remember. And yeah, look, baseball has done a good job in these past couple of years of improving the game overall. Things like pitch clock. I know they've messed around with the baseballs a little bit in terms of trying to generate more runs and those kind of things. But the changes they've made have been positive, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the postseason. Now, yeah, part of that's because I don't have a team in it, and I'm not emotionally invested in anybody. I'm just trying to watch good baseball. But this is one of the more fun postseasons I can remember. And we had a good matchup in the World Series, and I don't know which way it's going to go. It's got me invested because, again, the Dodgers could get another win tonight. Toronto could even the series. Who knows what's going to happen?
The article on Awful Announcing says that both, this is Game 1 and Game 2, so it excludes Game 3, the 18-inning game.
I guess a winner tonight would take the lead in the series, sorry.
Yeah.
Tied 2-2.
But it says both games, Game 1 and Game 2, set multi-year highs, if not for the high-octane series between the Dodgers and Yankees last season. Game 1 this year averaged 12.3 million viewers. Last year, Game 1 was 14.2. So
because it's Dodgers Yankees.
Exactly.
Like, you get a lot more casual interest when the Yankees are playing compared to the Blue Jays.
And then Game 2 last year was 13.7 to 11.4 this year. But it said excluding 2004, so last year, Game 1 of this year was the most watched game since 2018. Game 2 was the most watched since 2019. And I'm not even going to lie to y'all. I have no clue who played in 2018 and 2019. I can barely remember what clothes I wore yesterday, let alone who played in the World Series in 2018 and 2019. But tonight, Game 5, and you're right, that should be another classic. Last night, it was rolling along. It was 7th inning. It was like 2-1, my 6th inning, 7th inning. And it was 2-1, and the Blue Jays blew it wide open once Shohei Ohtani came out.
Yeah, there's a debate. Do you bring him back out there for the 7th inning or not? But, yeah, that's kind of when things went sideways. And obviously both teams used up so much pitching the night before. You wonder what was going to happen once they got down into their bullpens. And, yeah, credit to Toronto. That was a must-win game for them in terms of making sure they got this thing back to Toronto coming up here in a couple days. And, again, whoever wins tonight has the series advantage as they move into Game 6 and potentially 7.
So that'll be tonight. You also have college football if you're into this kind of thing. Congratulations to you. Jacksonville State at Middle Tennessee. Jacksonville State's minus 3.5. Over-under is 54.5. Again, that's place your wager and then call the Bettors Anonymous hotline, seek some help. Florida International and Missouri State. Missouri State minus 3.5. Over-under 50.5. Again, that game at Missouri State, for those of you that just have to have the action on the game, is scratching and itching and needs something. So you got that going tonight as well. Just one NHL game after the Frozen Frenzy last night, and I'm not even going to try and tell you all about NBA basketball because you'll just click your radio off. 803-404-6100. We've been talking NIL. Let's get to the phone lines. Tim wants to weigh in on why he hates NIL. Tim, how you doing this afternoon? Thank you for the phone call. What's on your mind?
I'm all right, brother. How are you? I ain't called y'all in a little while.
Yes, sir.
Look, I'm 60-year-old, so let me say to start with, I hate the NIL. Hate it. I didn't like it. Didn't want to start. I knew exactly what was coming, and everybody else did too when they started all this mess. All right. All that being said, Beamer said if they come in, the first question they ask is about NIL. Look, when I was 18-year-old getting out of high school, if I'd have been good enough to go on to college and they could have paid me and all this, that, and the other, that would have been one of my first questions at 18. How much money did I get out of this? You know what I'm saying? We didn't have much. So I would have been asking that first. But my thing is, any coach, this is where we're at. You better get good at this NIL stuff. Or are you just going to be, sucking on the back tit all the time, for lack of a better way to say it? You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. But I think about the NIL and all this and that other, and where Carolina's at. I married a Gamecock 37 years ago, but I've always been a Tennessee fan, so I pull for both of them. I've told y'all that before. But think about this. Where would Sellers be had he went to Tennessee or somewhere like that with Heupel, the quarterback whisperer? I mean, look, everybody that goes there, they're down on the bench or wherever. Look at Hendon Hooker. You see what he was up there. Look at Joey Aguilar. You see what he is up there. And I'm not bragging on Tennessee. I'm just saying that this up and down in Carolina, I like Beamer. I've said that before. I love his enthusiasm. He's great on the mic. He's like one of them WWE wrestlers. You put the mic in front of him, he's great. But we've been having the same conversations for 5 years. The offensive line and injuries and this one's hurt, that one's hurt. Everybody else got people hurt too. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I want him to fire him, but he's got to change something for Carolina to ever be in them top teams. Does that make sense the way I'm saying this stuff, or am I just rambling on like a dumb hillbilly?
No, and I appreciate the phone call. You're right, and look, by all accounts, now we got 4 games to go. And 2 of them are against premium opponents. Obviously, this weekend, Missouri, and next weekend, Missouri. This weekend against Mississippi, and then Texas A&M. And both are on the road, by the way. Yep. So you got 2 games against premium opponents, true premium opponents. You have another game against your arch rival that you can win 2 in a row against. Hadn't done that in over a decade. You can win a game against your arch rival at home. Hadn't done that in over a decade. And then obviously you got Coastal as well, not to put down Coastal Carolina because I am a fan of Coastal and Tim Beck and everybody, Chance Miller, Mike Uva, everybody down there. Love you all down. Chance, love you, big fan. But you've got opportunities.
Sure.
It's not over.
No.
I know, I got it. A lot of you listening go, no, it's over. Have you not watched the first 8? Right, Tyler? You know how fans are.
Yeah, no,
we've watched the first. Don't do this, Gunner. Don't go. No. You're a homer. I got it.
And look, if Alabama would have come in here and beat them 42-3 on Saturday, I'd probably be right there with you. But they did show you something this past weekend of like, hey, hold on now. Maybe there's something here that, yes, going on the road to 2 top 10 teams is not an easy task by any means. But if this season of college football has taught us anything, nothing's impossible. Like, you do have to go 3-1 to make a bowl game, which would include winning one of the next 2 and then handling your business against Coastal and Clemson at the end of the year. But it's not this Mount Everest. It's not the most impossible thing. And defense has been playing good. Special teams have been playing good. Offense had their best outing of the season last week. Still could have been better in a lot of areas, but still, it was better than it had been. So if that continues to trend in the right direction, you give yourself a shot. So I'm not telling you to go out there and bet your house on it by any means. Please don't. But the opportunity. Who cares
if you're going to bet on Missouri State tonight or something? Well, you may as well.
If you do, call the number.
Yeah.
But there is opportunity there without trying to put on rose-colored glasses and say, yeah, definitely they're going to go in there and beat Ole Miss. There's a pathway to do it. It's not impossible.
I will say I don't know the pathway. We're going to I'll tell you what, we're going to change our segments up. Next, we're going to get into your Trinidad train, but we're going to talk Mississippi, and then we're going to do our coaches segment at 2:30. I will say this. I don't know the path to beating Mississippi. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to, by the time we get to Friday and we go to wrap up the show and I give a prediction, I'm trying to be that I'm always positive. Anybody that knows me, I'm a fan. I sit in the stands. People sit around me. They hear me yell and scream. I'm a fan.
Sure.
Okay? I'm not biased. Or excuse me, I am biased. but I try to be unbiased in terms of things I see. And it is, by the way, sad that, what did you just label it, an offensive explosion or the
Yes.
best, and it was 22 points.
Yes.
That is sad. And it's
Yes.
sad also that it took a muffed punt and a short field to get to 22, okay? I can fully admit that.
Yes.
I'm trying to get myself to Friday to tell you and be like, this is how this occurs for Mississippi. For Texas A&M, I can look at it and be like, it's a bye week, and you're going to play them at 11 a.m. their time, or 11:45. You're going to play them early, and like there's reasons I can look at Texas A&M and be like, I can believe in this matchup. That one's a little bit different. I can see South Carolina winning Texas A&M. I also told you I could see them beating Oklahoma, and well, stopped clock theory. It's wrong a whole bunch. It's only right twice. So anyway, but Mississippi, I'll be honest, Tyler, I can't right now figure out the path. But A&M I can. Coastal I can. Clemson I can. And I'll be honest, 6-6 sucks.
Yeah.
6-6 is a massive, massive, massive disappointment. And we should all be sent to Birmingham and forced, well, maybe not the fans, but have to go back there.
Right.
But 6-6 does get you to a bowl, and it gives you 15 extra practices to practice the freshmen and the sophomores who hadn't played. And if Lenore Sellers decides he's going to move on, it gives you a chance to play Aaron Nolan and Cutter Woods or whomever you want to play at quarterback to get a game in for the future. So it is imperative that you get to a bowl game. 6-6 is still a massive failure. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
But as we sit here at 2:12 on a Wednesday, not to depress you, don't have that path to beating Mississippi just yet.
I'm working
and
on
Yancey
it.
Porter's this is what you should be scared of didn't help me either.
Yeah. I feel like I can come up with a compelling argument by the end of the week. I'm still working on it.
We are, yeah.
I'm
We're
working on it.
going to try. I'm getting Tyler there, dragging him against his will. 803-404-6100. Tyler's got some Trinidad Chambliss stats. We'll talk about Mississippi for a minute. Coming up at 2:30, we got a little coaches segment we want to do and play a little game. You're listening to the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner, Captain David Ayer, and Tyler Head. It is 107.5 The Game.
It's all right here for our friends over at Tilly's Warehouse, first wine and spirits store in 5 Points in the past 20 years. Nestled right behind the Salty Nut Cafe and the old Pavlov's building off Green Street. Hard place to miss. Get in out of there really easily and get everything that you need for a fun night, a fun weekend, a fun tailgate party, whatever you may need. Tilly's has got you covered. I tell you about that all the time. If you want G4 tequila, they've got that. If you want the Garden in Black vodka, they've got that as well, with 25% of the proceeds to that going towards South Carolina's NIL. They've got High Noons. They've got Sun Cruisers. They got things by the case. They got things to drink right there by the cash register while you're checking out. They also have a Class B license where they can sell to bars in the area if you're looking to restock as well. You can stay connected with them on Instagram and Facebook or visit their website, tillyswarehouse.com, for more information. If you mention this ad that you heard on 107.5, you can get 10% off any wine selection. Discover why Tilly's is your new must-visit spot over in 5 Points.
218. I'm not sure if we're having a technical glitch with the text line or what, but some of y'all's texts are not coming in. Quarter, Jay from the Interstate. I have text messages, but there's like no words. So I don't know if you're rear end texting us or what. There was several others earlier. Steve in Florida and a couple other people who sent text messages in that
nothing like a good butt text.
Yeah, I'm not real sure. I'm not real random day on that. 803-404-6100 if you want to try and text or call. And Scott's on the phone line. Scott, how you doing? You want to talk positivity? I don't know if you're calling to give me positivity or telling me to be positive or what, but what do you got for me?
Well, I think we have the talent. We could win every game from here on out.
Okay, very fair.
We have the talent. I don't think, and I think we have enough defense to do that if we can get cooperation with the offense. We have the talent. I just don't believe we're using it correctly. We need to go to the basics. The basics of football is you get 3 to 4 downs to get 10 yards. We need to get 10 yards at a time. It's very simple. It's not rocket science. We get 3 or 4 plays to get 10 yards. We need to get 10 yards. We need to stay on the field, and we need to score. That's all there is to it. We have the talent to do that. We have the players. You just got to be smart and wise. You got to use the talent to the best of your ability, but we should be able to do that. We should be able to get first downs. And if one time we don't, okay, but 9 times out of 10, we ought to be able to get first downs and go down the field and score. And we ought to be able to win every game from here on out. And I think that we need to change our mentality back to we're going to win every game.
Oh, we should.
The rest of the year.
Yeah, you're right, and thank you for the phone call. I should be more positive, but you are right. I should be. I want to find a way, and you got a great one. I do think I said this against Alabama. I said they're talented enough to win. They're talented, and they are. South Carolina's talented enough to go down to Oxford and win the game. I believe that. I do believe that. That's where I should start my positivity. How that plays out, what that game plan looks like, and how that I'm working on it.
I mean, you can make the argument they've been talented enough to win every game so far this year. And again, I mean, really, outside of Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, nobody's really like run away from them. And even the Oklahoma game is only a 10-point lead halfway through the third quarter, so they didn't come in here and beat you by 50 points. And Sellers didn't play the second half against Vanderbilt, so don't really know how many points you could have potentially scored in that game. So you've been in just about every single game, including last week against Alabama. So, yeah, it's not like there's a talent discrepancy here, but there's something happening, especially in the end of these games, where it falls apart. Going back to what Beamer had to say yesterday about not finishing, that's what you have to figure out. How do you finish these games when you have the number 4 team in the country? We just watched the replay on SC Network on the ropes and ready to put away. You weren't able to do it, and you ended up shooting yourself in the foot at the very end. But, like, how do you figure out how to finish those games is the next step in terms of if you're going to be able to beat Ole Miss or A&M in the next 2 weeks.
Tyler every day puts together a show rundown for us, and we're sometimes trying to follow. And I apologize, I have not followed any of your show rundown today. We have gotten.
You know what? I put that together so we have some kind of a plan.
We've gotten off topic, and I'm about to take us further off topic because this is actually hilarious. What I'm going to read to you, we've been talking NIL.
Sure.
And this is okay. Goes back to that conversation. I thought I was done with that conversation. I'm not, because this happened. This happened yesterday morning apparently, and it's just now being reported.
Okay. Lay it on me.
All right. This is straight out of Inside MD Sports, and from the Sports Junkies, 106.7 The Fan in Maryland. Okay, this happened. This isn't somebody fake making this up. This occurred, and we have the quote. As I have mentioned, the number 2, I'm talking right now, the number 2 player in the country, Zion Lee, 5-star edge commitment. Remember earlier I said NIL and business decision and all that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Mike Locksley, who we all love around here, head coach at Maryland.
Sure.
Mike Locksley has addressed, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure this is illegal, what he did, but I'm pretty sure this is a recruiting violation. But anyway, Mike Locksley has addressed the visit of Zion Lee to South Carolina publicly on a radio show.
Okay.
Even used the name Zion. It's in the quote.
He definitely is not supposed to do that.
Okay. All right. Let me read part of the article real quick. And I want you to listen to this closely because, wow. Number one, I dislike Maryland and I dislike Mike Locksley. But, okay. This is straight out of the Maryland. This is a article out of Inside MD Sports on the 24/7 Sports Network. This is an article. This is not somebody making this up. It says, while fans spent the past 48 hours anxiously monitoring the nation's top 25 prospect, Locksley wasn't sweating it. In what might be the latest chapter in the random war of words between Maryland and South Carolina football coaches and fans, he implied Zion Lee was paid to take the visit. The actual quote from Mike Locksley: why would I be mad for Zion, again, use his name, why would I be mad for Zion to make $5 to $10 grand to go down to South Carolina? He's been loyal to the area, loyal to me and the program we've created. We've had constant dialogue.
Wow.
He went on to say NIL has reshaped the recruiting calendar and how schools go about getting prospects on campus, hence paying. He talked about that some programs use NIL-structured incentives to push visits, but emphasized he isn't worried as long as communication remains the same. This is, again, a direct quote. Some of these schools, and again, remember, Locksley, by the way, does not like South Carolina, and South Carolina does not like Mike Locksley. Quote, some of these schools have the ability where they take kids to come visits and they hide it behind the NIL stuff. I'm not saying that's what happened, but over the years, if I have great communication with a kid, I can't operate out of fear. If Maryland isn't the best situation for him, we'll go find someone else. We've done that. But let me go back to the original quote. Mike Locksley, head coach at Maryland, on 106.7, a Maryland radio station, the Sports Junkies, on Tuesday morning, addressed Zion Lee. And again, what I'm pretty certain is a recruiting violation. Why would I be mad for Zion to make $5 to $10 grand to go down to South Carolina? He's been loyal to this area, loyal to me and the program we've created, and we have constant dialogue.
Wow.
And look, and we talked about that. Okay, good. South Carolina paid $5 to $10. Good. You know what? Great job, South Carolina. I don't care what there's nothing wrong with it. Excellent work. Do it again. It probably is not going to work. You're probably going to miss out on Zion Lee. But you know what? Do it again. That's my point. But there you go.
Yeah, the rule is they're not supposed to be able to comment on anybody that's unsigned. Now, he's talking about a visit to another school. I don't know if that skirts around the rule or not, but I'm
pretty sure you can't say his name.
I'm pretty sure you can't say his name, even if asked directly about him. We've heard Beamer being asked about specific recruits, and he just has to go very generic coach speak on that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Locksley broke some kind of rule by doing that, and I guess furthering the beef between the two sides. For two schools that don't play each other, there's a lot of hatred here.
There is good grief between Locksley. Isn't exactly guaranteed to be employed at the end of the year.
Maybe he's just saying blanket and saying whatever he wants now. What's he got to lose?
But I would have brought it up regardless. And again, we were going to talk Mississippi in this segment, but then this just came out. Or I say just came out, but I just stumbled across it. Actually, it came out 3 hours ago from Jack Sheehan, a staff member for Inside MD Sports. Again, this isn't like some fan posting random stuff. And again, this is on an actual sports talk radio show up in Maryland, 106.7 The Fan. And this is an actual quote where, again, Mike Locksley says Zion Lee made $5 to $10 grand, $5 to $10,000 to come take a visit to South Carolina, an official visit. NIL's fun, man. NIL's fun. And this goes back to my point, Tyler, though. It's probably not going to work. He's probably going to stay with Maryland. It is what it is. But guess what? That's play in the game. That actually makes me feel better.
Yeah. I'm interested to see the fallout from this.
Does Shane Beamer respond?
Carolina calls tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Find out.
I don't think he's responding on Carolina calls. I don't think he's responding. That's not the platform to do it. I don't think he's responding there on Carolina calls. But what kind of get Orville Redenbacher? Get the popcorn. That's. But that's the college football world. That's where we're at.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's try and get back to one thing Tyler had written down for us to go. We'll talk some coaches when we come back. You're listening to the Halftime Show. It is 2:35 as we have just rolled right through this Wednesday program. Been a lot of fun, a lot of opinions, more of an opinionated program as we head toward the end of November, head toward the end of October here on the 29th with NIL and what we think about this coming weekend and so forth and so on. And we'll do a lot of that tomorrow. Get into tomorrow. We'll get more into. We'll let Tyler give us the Mississippi breakdown. You said Trinidad. I'll tease it real quick. You said Trinidad Chambliss's numbers are absolutely insane. Yeah,
look, if you've watched Ole Miss play this year, and I had the opinion at the end of September that Trinidad Chambliss was maybe playing the best out of everybody in the country. The numbers are kind of backing that up, and he's doing it against good quality competition week in and week out. So he's gonna be a handful, and yeah, the numbers kind of back that up.
All right, let's play a little game here. Let's talk big picture college football. There's so many jobs that are open, and so many candidates that start with the guy that we have been discussing a little bit today, Lane Kiffin. Let's start with Lane Kiffin for a second here before I get to actual jobs. You heard Yancey Porter. I'm gonna tweet out. Sure. Captain Dave's done an incredible job. By the way, we got a great interview with John Strickland from Monday, our offensive line guru that's up on our podcast page. Captain Dave got that up for us. John Strickland does a great job of breaking everything down, what he has seen. Go listen to that. If you've missed that, very insightful if you're on the treadmill or you're doing something and you want to listen to that. John Strickland, phenomenal stuff on Monday, breaking down the offensive line. It's on our podcast page, 1075thegame.com. Go to shows, click on the halftime show. Can't miss it from there. And Yancey Porter from Rebel Yell earlier today, who broke down the game, and also Lane Kiffin a little bit, joined us, and that's up, and I'll tweet that out at Will, W-I-L, Gunter, G-U-N-T-E-R, if you ever want to yell at me on Twitter. But, and if you want to yell at Tyler, which is feel free to, he handles it, he's big boy, at TylerHead18 is the way to do that. Don't be afraid to yell at us. We're perfectly okay. Compliments are welcome, but we understand that's not as much fun on Twitter as yelling and getting angry and sending mean tweets. You heard Yancey Porter. Before you heard Yancey Porter, let's say at noon today, before we started the show, what did you think about Lane Kiffin leaving Mississippi? Yes or no?
Oh, I still thought he wasn't going to do it.
Okay, you don't think he's going to do it?
I think he's in a great situation right now. I didn't see any reason for him to leave.
Okay, all right. And after listening to Yancey Porter today, it strengthened your belief? It kept it the same?
If the numbers that he told us are, in fact, true, then there's really no reason for Lane Kiffin to leave. If they're willing to invest that much money because essentially the reaction is to keep him, right? Much like I'm assuming, contract extension he'll get is a knee-jerk reaction to having these other jobs open, saying, oh, my God, we can't lose Lane. Let's throw the kitchen sink at him to make sure that he stays. If that's what's happening there and those numbers of $30 million in NIL investment are true, then, yes, I think he'd be dumb to leave.
Okay. All right. I'm with you, by the way. He's managed to root his family there, and let's be honest. If he goes anywhere else and he wins 10, if he goes to Florida, I mean, look what Florida did to Dan Mullen. You know, Billy Napier didn't live up to that. I don't foresee a situation in which he goes somewhere and he gets kind of the job security that he has with Mississippi. Money is, and you heard him yesterday, we played a clip, money is not everything to him. And you mentioned it, the E60 piece, that if you haven't seen it is really good on him. There's also an article that's essentially the E60 piece. His family, he's been able to kind of get his family, all of his family. I think even Layla, formerly Kiffin, is now living down there, and he's got the brother-in-law, and there's a lot of things there. I don't foresee a situation in which he leaves. I'm with you on that. And so I think that leaves LSU and Florida as open jobs on the market. And now they've got to go find somebody. So what we're about to do is play a game, and it's who fits best. What coach would you put in what coaching position, Tyler? And okay. I will start. Let's start with the first job that really came open, right, and that would be the Florida Gators.
Okay.
Lane Kiffin is out.
All right. Alex Golesh.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. You got like 2 sentences on why.
For one, I don't think your top 2 prospects in Lane Kiffin and Eli Drinkwitz are going to go because I think they're both in good situations. Golich has done a phenomenal job turning around USF in a short time. Obviously beat Florida earlier on this year, which really put more pressure on Billy Napier. Obviously has ties and connections to the state of Florida already, and he's going to get a Power 4 job here very soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's Florida.
Okay, you go Alex Golich. Now, again, I'm talking fit. Part of this is fit. I think Eli Drinkwitz jumps at the chance.
You think so?
He idolizes Steve Spurrier. This is his chance. I think Eli Drinkwitz jumps at the chance. I mean, let's be honest. Florida, prestige-wise, is 10 times greater than Missouri. Eli Drinkwitz, much like Lane Kiffin at Mississippi, could stay there and pretty much has job security as long as he's winning 8 and 9 games. He's not going anywhere, and money's not everything. Eli Drinkwitz's ego. Lane Kiffin 10 years ago, the ego would have driven him to Florida.
You know what? Can I change my answer?
I guess.
I'll go Jeff Brom. I think Jeff Brom would take the Florida job.
Ooh, but is that the fit? I need the fit because Brian Kelly is a very good coach, but it was an awful fit.
Yeah.
And Eli Drinkwitz and his attitude and his cockiness and the way he runs offenses, to me, Florida hits a home run. I'd even call it. Florida wins a national championship in 4 years. Florida recruits itself, and then Drinkwitz, he'll do recruiting. He'll build a staff. Florida would win a national championship. I'll say 5 years. I'll round out a year.
I think you're right. The Drinkwitz, from a personality standpoint, matches more of what successful Florida coaches are. Steve Spurrier, Urban Meyer. I think Jeff Brom's more the no-nonsense kind of guy.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if that fits the best at Florida, but I do think he can go down there and have success.
Okay. LSU. Now, Ed Orgeron actually has now admitted he wants to coach again at LSU. We all know.
Sign me up.
You and I
sign me up for that.
We would like to coach at LSU. You and I have a better chance than Ed Orgeron, I believe. I believe if not, it's the same. LSU is a fit job. To me, you can't hire James Franklin,
right,
for that job. You got to find somebody who's a little quirky. You got to find somebody who's a little kind of like out there. You got to find somebody who's innovative. The dude you just mentioned, that's Jeff Brom. Remember his XFL, my head is still on, or I'm breathing, or whatever. I know he's at his alma mater.
I think of his quote was, "This is the XFL, right? As long as I'm breathing, I'm going to go out there and play," because he got a wicked concussion before concussions were, known as what they are now. But yes, that's the Jeff Brom that I know.
He is, if you've listened to him, if you ever listened to a post-game interview, he's different. I think he would fit in well there. I think he would be very dangerous, very, very dangerous there. Jeff Brom is my pick. Who you go with LSU?
Oh, man. Maybe John Summerall.
Okay.
Because already
you're going low. You're going low. I
know. Again, I think the expectations are so high there. A lot of these guys, again, Drinkwitz, Lane Kiffin, I don't know if they would want to take that job because they're already in good situations and they're, again, towards the top of people's hot boards in terms of where you want to steal somebody from. I don't know if any of those top guys are going to go there. I personally don't. I don't think they're going to be able to pry Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame either. Which that'd be fun if they got 2 straight Notre Dame coaches.
No,
I think Marcus Freeman could navigate Baton Rouge better than Brian Kelly does because he seems more personable.
Oh yeah, Brian Kelly. Look, Brian Kelly's just a jerk.
Yeah, good football
he's a jerk.
Coach, bad person.
He's got to go back somewhere north. I got a place for him. We'll see if we can get to that. Penn State.
They're probably going to go Matt Rule. If I had to bet right now, I'd probably say Matt Rule. Again, played there, understands the place. I don't think it's a better choice, but that seems to be where they're likely to go.
I would be terrified of it, and I said it yesterday. Clark Lee.
I just don't think you can take him away from Vanderbilt.
I don't know. Who knows what Clark Lee's going to do? You're right. I just picked Jeff Brom, leaving Louisville to go, and now I say Clark Lee. Does Clark Lee glance at Diego Pavia and be like, "Did you get that 12th year of eligibility? No, you're out of eligibility." Clark Lee, fundamental football, everything, the way he coaches, that would fit Penn State, and it would fit great. It would fit it would work. We'll come back and I'll give you a few more. I'm going to give you a few that aren't open.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a few that aren't open, and we'll wrap this up. You're listening to the Halftime Show. A reminder, we will have the pregame show for you coming up 2:30 or 2 o'clock?
2 o'clock Saturday, 5 hours for kickoff. Myself, Elijah Campbell, live at O'Hara's in Lexington. I believe I will also be hosting the watch party that night at 7 o'clock. So come and hang out with me and I believe one of our promotions people. And we'll be doing a raffle. We'll be continuing to take names for the Clemson ticket raffle.
Okay.
So if you've signed up, you can go and sign up for more tickets. More tickets you put in, the more better chance you are to win. So come do that.
O'Hara's in Lexington. TVs, good smoked wings.
The French dip, man. Have you ever had their French dip?
French dip.
It's phenomenal.
Yep. So go by, hang out with Tyler and the crew, 7 o'clock. Obviously, game time. 2 o'clock if you want to get over there and do a little Gamecock game day with Tyler and the crew leading up to the game as we get you set for the Gamecocks and the Rebels. And we'll talk more about that. Tyler's got some statistics that we'll get more into the game tomorrow as we move into Thursday and what I like to label the weekend. All right, let's finish up our little game here. We went with Florida. You switched to Jeff Brom for Florida, which is
Jeff Brom for Florida,
which is a really good one. It's good.
I went Summerall with LSU.
Yeah, I went Drinkowitz. For Florida. I think that's a home run hire. Jeff Brom for LSU, I think home run hire. Penn State, you went with the likely guy, Matt Rule.
Mm-hmm.
I went Clark Lee. All right, let's go to another open job. Arkansas SEC school. A lot of potential there. We've seen them be good under Bobby Petrino. Where do they go here?
See, here's the thing. Because there's so many other jobs open, I don't think they're going to go out there and get a big name. This, to me, seems like a job that, like, a hotshot coordinator might end up getting. One name that has been in coaching cycles for several years is Glenn Schumann at Georgia.
Okay, defensive-minded.
He's been the defensive coordinator since Dan Lanning left and went to Oregon. I could see, like, somebody like him landing at a job like that as like a first-time head coaching job. Again, it's not the top of the SEC. It's something, hey, can you go there, build them back into being something respectable? I could see, maybe not specifically him, but somebody like that, a coordinator hire that maybe you don't pay as much attention to, landing at a job like that, because there's so many big jobs open that Arkansas is not at the top of the pecking order, unfortunately.
Okay, all right. I went with a guy a little bit different. This is a bit of I don't think people know about him. You had to watch last night. James Madison coach, Bob Chesney, took over for Kirk Cignetti.
Yep.
You look at where he's been, he wins. Like, wins and wins a lot. He reminds me a lot of Kalen DeBoer and the fact that, Kalen DeBoer won at, I don't know, I can't remember what the initial school was. Sioux Falls. Then went to Fresno State and won. Went to Washington and won.
Yep.
Bob Chesney was at Sal Regina. I don't even know what that is, in the New England Football Conference, and went 23-9. He went to Assumption College and went 44-16.
Hey, shout out Mike Uva.
Yeah.
And Brian Kelly.
He went to Holy Cross and went 44-21, and he's 16-5 at James Madison now. Again, I know taking over. Offensive-minded dude. Young up and coming. This is a guy that a lot of people seem to be very high on, and I don't know how he would fit. He's from Pennsylvania.
Sure.
And yeah, that's a fit. But again, offensive minded. I think he's a Bobby Petrino without the Bobby Petrino stuff.
I will say, I just thought about this. Rhett Lashley is also a possibility for Arkansas.
I don't think that's a good fit.
But I don't know if he leaves.
Yeah, SMU's going to pay him.
You know, it's another name that has just not gotten brought up a lot. Spencer Danielson at Boise State.
Okay.
He took them to the playoff last year. They're not having, they're 6-2 this year, but they're not quite in the same mix for the playoff that they were last year. But he's still had good success in a short time at Boise State. I wouldn't be shocked, just with the sheer amount of jobs open, if he ends up, wouldn't it be fun if he went to Auburn, they hired another Boise State coach. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a job in this cycle.
He'd have to drive Brian Harson's whatever vehicle back from Boise. That's
maybe
probably
so.
I think Auburn did go up and get that. We also haven't mentioned Eric Morris of North Texas. All right, job that is not opened, but we feel like it's going to open. North Carolina.
Oh, good one. Man, they're into making splash hires.
I got the easy one.
Okay, go for it.
James Franklin.
You know what? I think that's a good fit.
James Franklin is buttoned down for them.
Expectations will be lower
for him.
Yeah,
he He doesn't have to play as many big games, or at least at this moment, it doesn't appear to have to play as many big games. He'll recruit perfectly fine there.
I could see him going to VT too.
North Carolina's more prestige. He's got an ego. North Carolina's got prestige. Say what you want about him, but they got prestige. He goes there. I think that's a really good hire. He constantly wins 8 or 9 games. Constantly loses, to the big one, to Clemson or Miami or Florida State or somebody. But
he could get him into like the ACC title game in a couple years.
It's not Penn State, and again, his attitude, I think, goes well there with that particular crowd. All right, that's been a show. Whew. I gotta go get a nap. You good?
All good.
All right, we done.